The State Department began laying off over 1,350 U.S.-based employees as part of President Trump's overhaul of the diplomatic corps. The layoffs, affecting 1,107 civil service and 246 foreign service officers, come amid global crises like Russia's war in Ukraine and tensions in the Middle East. An internal memo stated that the cuts are aimed at streamlining operations and eliminating inefficiencies. The overall reduction will total nearly 3,000 employees out of the 18,000 based in the U.S. Critics argue that this restructuring could weaken the U.S. ability to counter growing adversaries like China and Russia. Democratic leaders, including Senator Tim Kaine, slammed the decision, calling it reckless, especially given the escalating global challenges. Now, joining us virtually from New York is to dissect these issues is Arise international analyst Rotimi Kade. Welcome, Rotimi. Thank you for joining us. Now,
thank you for having me.
You can see where President Trump is driving the U.S. to right now. And the quote states, America first, make America great again, MAGA. How is this contributing to making America great again, looking at global competitors like China and the like?
Well, that's a very great question. I think it's left to the administration to actually determine whether the policies they're implementing is actually making America great again or not. But what we have on the table right now is that the administration has shifted policies against decades of U.S. policies of, accommodating, what this administration considered as being lopsided, being unfair to U.S. Citizens and U.S. government in general. This Trump administration has decided to say, you know what, we're going to reciprocate in same-like manner. Don't forget that the United States before now have a bit of a more, welcoming policies to, especially to developing countries like Nigeria. But recently, the Nigerian government did implement what they call the validity of a single entry of 3 months visas into Nigeria, non-diplomatic and non-immigrant visas. So the U.S. government decided to say, you know what, we're going to implement the same thing as against our open policy. Now, the U.S. visas criteria and standards of this new administration is actually designed to actually protect, according to the U.S. Government, the integrity of the U.S. immigration systems. And these standards, which of course are based on global technical and security benchmarks, are number one, secure the documents, the travel documents of Nigerian citizens traveling to the United States, which means that they need verified traveler identities. And secondly, they also want to ensure that visas overstays are highly discouraged, which means that, they want to ensure that Nigerian government and the U.S. government are collaborating to ensure that, Nigerian citizens traveling to the United States do not overstay their visa. So they're sharing some sort of security. They want to share those information. But the third benchmark that the U.S. government said Nigeria must meet before they can review that policy is information sharing. Just as I said, they want a information sharing of Nigerian citizens traveling, whether criminal records, or whatever information they can get before they can travel. So should anything happen, they know how to trace it. But that's a really, really difficult thing for Nigerian government, because gathering data could be a little bit more tasking. And this is just part of the things that the U.S. is looking at least under the Trump administration for the next 2.5 years before anything can be done. And I think by doing this, maybe the administration feels that it makes the country safer than it has ever been before. Don't forget also that you have, the immigration, raids everywhere, trying to deport as many people as possible in the United States. So what Nigeria is experiencing right now is not different.
Now, Rotimi, more than 1,350 diplomatic corps employees. What does this mean for America's influence around the world?
Well, that is really huge. The U.S. The Trump administration is trying to cut down as much as they can. According to them, they want to cut the waste to ensure that the government can run effectively. It's much more smaller government, and what we're seeing also is that some critics just feel like, you know what, you cannot, you know. Cuts the manpower in a way that will affect the effectiveness of the system. It's huge data to actually process, especially when it comes to immigration policies and other international relations matters. But again, you leave it for the Trump administration and see how it goes in the next couple of months from now.
So what are your recommendations before we move quickly to other subjects, Rotimi? What do you see in the offing?
Well, my recommendation, honestly, is very irrelevant at this point, but I think it's going to be based off of what the especially Nigerian government will do in the next couple of weeks and months to come, whether they need to review the 3-month visa policies for U.S. citizens that travel into Nigeria. To be specific now, non-immigrant and non-diplomatic visas traveling to Nigeria. I believe if the Nigerian government can do that, perhaps maybe U.S. can look into that. And of course, with those 3 criteria that I actually explained earlier, there could be something that will be done positively.
Now, let's talk about Khalil Sheikh Mohammed, 9/11 mastermind since 2003 that is being apprehended. Why did it take so long to come to this point?
Well, that's a very good question. Nobody can answer that. Khalid has always been on the radar, not just based off of what happened on 9/11, but on the radar of citizens because they want actually justice for what he perpetrated in 9/11. And this case has been on for so long, and the Biden administration actually tried to secure a sort of a I wouldn't say plea deal, but a way where he's going to plead guilty and of course get a more relaxed punishment for that. The military court last year, December, actually, squashed that particular deal that was gotten by the then Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, and say that no, that is null and void. But of course, with the appeal court's judgment right now, that particular a plea deal has been accepted, and we don't know what is going to happen. Perhaps maybe it's going to get to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court will make judgment. But I think the vast majority of citizens of this country actually want justice, for the evil that was perpetrated in 9/11.
Rotimi, if Khalil had been granted a plea deal, what would that have meant for the families of the victims?
I think it is going to be very disheartening for the families of the victims because they'll feel that justice has not been served on him. Because if he accepts a plea deal, it means he's not going to be on death penalty. That's basically what it is. And a lot of them, the vast majority of them, want him to be on death penalty, at least to appease, the families and also the memories of the dead.
Right. Well, now I want us to do something very quickly before I let you go, Rotimi. I have less than 2 minutes to do this. Can we quickly place this judgment side by side with the non-capital punishment that the U.S. operates?
Well, that is it's really a big, topic to actually talk in 2 minutes. But sometimes it's just based on state by state because, for instance, some states actually allow the death penalty, the capital punishment. Some states don't. So this is not like a general policy, in the United States. So the state that he committed a crime, I believe, New York, they encourage what I would say capital punishment, which could be a death penalty. So that is obviously very debatable, but we'll see how it goes.
Khalil was arrested in 2003 in Pakistan. How has this, how would you say this has impacted the bilateral relations between US and Pakistan?
Oh, come again with your question?
Khalil was arrested in Pakistan in 2003. So how would you say this has impacted the bilateral relations between the US and Pakistan?
I think, well, generally, the bilateral relations between Pakistan and U.S. Is really solid, I would say. This would not definitely come in between to salvage the relationships that they always had. Pakistan, I believe, when the U.S. was waging war against the Taliban in 2003 through to 2011, they cooperated with the United States government to get access to Afghanistan, and which led to the arrest, perhaps maybe death of Osama bin Laden. This definitely would not in any way dent or puncture the good relations that the United States have with Pakistan, especially when it comes to 9/11.
Rotimi, I must say a big thank you to you for coming on Arise America this evening. Thank you very much indeed.